Coming up on Grady Newsource Live at 5, we'll look at how voter registration rallies affect upcoming elections and the recent arrest of a UGA football player in Athens, Clark County. Then, we'll see how Hurricane Ian affects North Georgia and how the governor plans to prepare. And later, we'll be joined by Newsource reporter Wynn Andrews to premiere his solution story about how an Athens nonprofit distributes fruit to combat hunger and food waste. All of this and more on Grady Newsource.
This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College and the University of Georgia, this is Grady Newsource.
Hello. Good evening. I'm Sarah Train, and welcome to Grady Newsource. The 2022 midterms are just weeks away, and organizers in Athens are helping more and more people cast their ballots this fall. But just how effective are these voter drives? Grady Newsource reporter Harper Blankenship explores if in-person rallies are really getting out the vote.
Events like this one here are trying to motivate voters to the polls this fall. The rally is just the latest hosted by UU The Vote, a nonpartisan voter registration initiative working across the country to partner with groups like the New Georgia Project and Clark County Elections Office. While social media has allowed organizers to cast a wide net to reach voters, UU The Vote campaign manager Jazon Hicks believes that personal connections are still the most effective way to motivate people to the polls.
Conversation even at a door, at a rally, the second, or even on the phone, talking to somebody gets them excited to do something. It gets them thinking. It gets them out to vote.
Putting on community events like these, Field and Programs Director Nicole Presley thinks meeting people where they are helps them feel better engaged in the voter process.
You get to see, okay, I wrote 5 postcards, but now we've got a box outside that is filling up with letters to voters in Georgia.
UGA Public Affairs Director Joseph Watson spent much of his early career in and out of campaigns on Capitol Hill. He says he still sees value in face-to-face get-out-the-vote rallies.
All of them have some level of effectiveness, but I think that the in-person would tend to have the highest efficacy. But again, there are a lot of different ways to do it. It may be that you need to do more touches to get somebody digitally to register, but you still get them.
Watson did, though, express some reservations about exactly who was attending these events.
I mean, how many of those people are people that really are unregistered and are completely new versus are there really people there just to say, hey, it's really important to get registered to vote? Like, what's the ratio between prospects and existing registered voters?
With important issues like abortion and gun control on the ballot this election season, Athenians who want their voice to be heard should be sure to register to vote by October 11th. For Grady Newsource, I'm Harper Blankenship.
The Athens Salvation Army Center will temporarily pause their food and shelter services this week. Grady Newsource reporter Madison Harwell tells us why this is happening.
On September 30th, the Salvation Army will be pausing both their shelter and food services for a short period of time. Lieutenant Sheldon Greenland says they have not been taking in anyone since August.
Because we wanted to make it a gradual stoppage or a gradual pause. So we've spoken with the vast majority of our community partners who service the unsheltered to make sure that they're aware of what the Salvation Army is going to do.
The Salvation Army of Athens plans to update and renovate the shelter in order to better inspire and encourage individuals who come to them in need.
We want the facilities to be exactly what they should be, somewhere where you enter this space and it uplifts you. And that's not what it is right now. So when we came in, we decided that we were going to push pause so that we can redo the facilities.
The main assets of the Salvation Army are food and shelter services, which will both come to a halt. However, they will still be serving as a referral system and offering help with utility and rental assistance. During the renovation of the shelter, employees of Athens Clark County Salvation Army Center will be CPR and first aid trained. Daisha Kitchen says why this is important.
We're a low-barrier shelter, so we don't require people to be vaccinated. We're not doing drug tests anymore, so it's very important that if something happens, that we know the action steps that we take that we need to take, just in case we have to save someone's life. So
The reopening of Athens Salvation Army food and shelter services are not set in stone, but they are hoping for a relaunch date of October 21st. Madison Harwell, Grady Newsource.
If you're a senior citizen in Oconee County looking to become more active, you may be in luck. Grady Newsource reporter Donna Traylor has more on how the retirement life just got better.
The Oconee County Senior Citizen Center recently opened their new expansion facility. The project provides space for their new health and wellness center. This space is used for 2 senior exercise classes every Monday and Wednesday. One class is available for those who may be limited in mobility. However, this is the version for those with more mobility.
For the first time since the expansion opened, exercise bands like this one were able to be used in the health and wellness class today. Another part of the expansion includes more equipment like these exercise balls that you see right here and 2 to 8 pound hand weights that are available so that everyone on all different levels can improve their strength when they attend the classes.
The class instructor, Carolyn Stanley, has been teaching these classes for 6 years. She makes up the exercises for each new day when she arrives.
I just want to make seniors more fit and America more fit. If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you.
One of the attendees, Jan Woodstick, travels from Monroe to attend the classes.
We work on balance. We work on, remembering eye-hand coordination. And she really makes us work harder. Coming here, I can use, heavier weights, and it's been a lot better.
There is also a space with bigger exercise equipment and a classroom reserved for teaching nutrition and respite classes. The mission statement of the center is to positively impact the community by creating opportunities for healthy aging through social engagement, physical activity and well-being, civic involvement, creativity, and lifelong learning.
I think the building is just, it's kind of like going to church every day. It's like a communal kind of thing where you can meet with your like-minded friends.
If you are a senior citizen looking to stay healthy and build community, maybe some of the classes and programs here could be a good fit for you. For Grady Newsource, Donna Traylor.
And when we get back from break, an update from out of this world.
During high school, I hung with the wrong crowd and I never graduated.
This is the long one.
I helped Santiago in many different ways, like all fathers do, because he always wanted to go to college.
I felt a little embarrassed to come back to school, but eventually, once I came here, I knew that it's for a bigger goal.
He was very dedicated, hardworking. He connected with his teachers, he connected with other students. That was one of the key reasons why he was able to keep forging ahead.
It was amazing to see him graduate. This was one thing that meant so much to him, and of course, it meant so much to us too.
With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed. That support is everything.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far.
A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
Tonight, keep your eyes on the sky. Jupiter will be the closest to Earth it has been in 59 years. This leaves a measly 367 million miles between the two planets. The gas giant will appear brighter and bigger in the sky, creating quite a spectacle. Those with a binocular or telescope could even catch a glimpse of the planet's bands or a few of its moons. It'll reach its peak at 1:30 a.m. Additionally, keep on the lookout for an Armageddon-like event, though Bruce Willis isn't the star of this show. It's NASA's Double Asteroid Redirection Test, or DART for short. At 7:14 p.m., a NASA spacecraft will make contact with the asteroid Dimorphos, knocking it off its original course. It will reveal how asteroids react to a deliberate push. This first step could be the groundwork for planetary defense in the future. Pedestrians and drivers are at risk of traffic hazards across campus. Grady Newsource reporter Aubrey Granzo has more on university remedies to the problem.
With the school year in full force, pedestrians and drivers alike face the potential risk of traffic-related issues.
15 minutes ago, I was walking down the street and I had the green walk sign and I was about to cross and a car making a right turn almost crashed into me.
Cell phones may be at fault for the growing risk pertaining to traffic-related accidents, and UGA community members are paying the price. Communications manager with UGA's Auxiliary Services, Taylor West, says the department is taking measures to lessen these hazards and that bus operators must remain vigilant. Bus drivers are armed with training measures to help lower the risks that individuals face. According to Taylor West, drivers are prepared to handle unforeseen circumstances and are trained to accommodate the safety of both pedestrians and passengers on UGA buses. Says the pedestrians can help lower the risk by following the rules and regulations regarding how to safely navigate streets and sidewalks. Currently, pedestrians and bicyclists represent 20% of overall traffic fatalities, and 9% of fatal crashes are reported as distraction-affected crashes. The university's Transportation and Parking Services Department offers several educational videos regarding pedestrian and driver safety through their website and their Watch for Dogs program. Through the program, community members can utilize tools to help get across campus more safely and efficiently. Additional information can be found on the website watchfordogs.uga.edu. For Grady Newsource, this is Aubrey Granzo.
Two organizations that offer resources to families of Jackson County hosted an event for the whole community. Nicole Norvell tells us why this event has come back for a second year.
Foundations for Living and Reboot Jackson came together to put on their annual One Jackson event to showcase the resources that are available for members of the community that deal with health disparities. Held at the Jackson County Agriculture Facility, a variety of vendors came to speak with residents Sunday evening and provide information on the resources that they offer.
When we come to this event each year, a new resource pops up, and then it's somebody for us to refer them to, as well as showing them what's available in the community.
The collaborative effort started last year when two women from Foundations for Living and Reboot Jackson recognized that many residents in the community are unaware of the resources that are available to them and felt that the event was needed to raise awareness.
It was amazing because we were right. There were so many resources that the members of Jackson County did not know about, and we felt it was a huge success.
Over 60 guests attended the event that offered 11 community partners. And while the free event provided community resources, there were activities geared for the entire family, such as face painting, dancing, food vendors, and door prizes.
All right, you guys ready? 964-393.
There are a lot of resources here, and I think it's very important that if you are a community, they need to know what's available to you to make a well-rounded family.
I think it gets my kids pumped, and they just like interacting with other people and stuff.
They didn't originally intend on One Jackson being an annual event, but because of the success from last year, they realized the continuing need for the community.
I like to know different resources that are available. This way I can reach out to them if I was ever in a crisis.
It takes more than one family to produce a healthy family, and we are family. And that's why we just think it's very important that we continue to do the One Jackson.
Nicole Norvell, Grady Newsource.
Coming up in Grady Newsource Sports, find out the latest on the arrest of a UGA defensive back and what the Braves are up to today in Washington.
Saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle.
Gotcha.
It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org.
So after the break, it's you opening for the sports data, and then there's the pack.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
My Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Hours after defeating Kent State, a star defender from the #1 ranked Bulldogs was arrested. Grady Newsource reporter Ben McKettrick updates us on the developing story.
At 2:41 a.m. Sunday morning, defensive back Javon Bullard was arrested and charged with 7 misdemeanors, including a DUI, according to a UGA police report. The sophomore from Milledgeville was booked at the Athens Clarke County Jail at 4:57 a.m. upon his arrest by UGA police. He was later released at 8:30 Sunday morning on a $4,250 bond. The police report says Bullard was heading south on Thomas Street in a black Lexus with no headlights before turning left onto River Road. After turning, the driver's side of the vehicle was across the double yellow line, nearly striking an oncoming vehicle.
Crazy.
A UGA police officer then initiated a traffic stop on Bullard and ran him through a field sobriety test to ensure that he was safe to drive. Bullard was unable to complete the evaluation due to his level of intoxication and was placed under arrest for a DUI. The report lists Bullard's blood alcohol content as 0.02%, a jailable offense according to Georgia state law because he is under the age of 20.
Hello, I'm Abby Walton with your Grady Newsource Sports. For our top story today in sports, I am joined by Grady Newsource reporter Ben McKettrick. Ben, thank you so much for joining me. So what is the latest regarding Javon Bullard?
Well, first of all, Abby, thank you for having me here with you today. I think it's important to note that this incident occurred right outside of Sanford Stadium on Sunday morning. The 7 charges he faced, according to the UGA police report, are as follows. You have the DUI, which is the main one, driving without headlights, the hands-free violation due to having his phone on while driving, failure to maintain lane, as well as the improper turn, and then no license on person, and then the possession of alcohol, underage possession of alcohol. So it's a pretty hefty charge that he's picked up here. And earlier today, Kirby Smart spoke about the arrest at his press conference. He said, and I quote, "There's still a lot in the air there," end quote. Smart also said that the matter will be handled internally, that players go through a process and a committee when things like this happen. And Bullard will go through the UGA athletic director, Josh Brooks, and the senior deputy director, Darius Griffin. So there's still more to develop with this story, but for now, Bullard has been released on bonds totaling $4,250.
Thank you so much, Ben. Now, in other UGA football news, Georgia played Kent State Saturday at Sanford Stadium with a winning score of 39-22. UGA is still ranked #1, but following Saturday's performance, are they slipping? Georgia is scheduled to play Missouri this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. This will be their only night game this season, so far this season, and it will be played at Missouri Stadium. Some UGA football players have spoken out about wanting a night game in Athens as well. Now, staying within college football, Georgia Tech just fired their athletic director and their head coach. In NFL football news, the Atlanta Falcons played the Seattle Seahawks yesterday with a winning score of 27-23. They are scheduled to play the Browns this Sunday. The Falcons are 1-2 so far this season. And now switching over to high school football, Clark Central High just lost their home conference game against Jefferson last Friday, 17-7. They are scheduled to play the Flowery Branch Falcons this Friday. Now taking a turn to baseball, looking at the Atlanta Braves, they took a pit stop at the White House today to visit President Biden before their game against the Washington Nationals tonight. There, they were able to celebrate their World Series championship title from the 2021 season. The Atlanta Braves also won their game against the Phillies last night, 8-7. Now, kicking it over to UGA soccer, UGA won their game against Florida down in Gainesville yesterday, 3-0. That's all for sports today. I'm Abby Walton, and that was your Grady Newsource.
Up next in weather, we will see the cooler temperatures expected for this week and updates on Hurricane Ian.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
You know, a lot of people say when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. For her to see her father celebrate his graduation, it's the best feeling in the world. I can't lie and say it was easy. But sometimes you just have to stop everything and take it in. I looked at everything in a different light. And I realized it started with me going back and getting my high school diploma.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzz warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz
Jim said he'll.
That's okay. Well, whatever you decide once I say the.
It should be going straight to weather.
Okay. But I heard silence.
The commercials will stop playing.
I'm scared I'm gonna laugh.
No, you stay here until the next break. But we wanted you in because there's this weather and then teas and break.
Good evening, I'm Gabrielle Vitale and this is your Grady Newsource weather update. We had a beautiful sunny day today with a high of 82. Clear skies will continue throughout the evening, hitting a low of 52. So make sure to grab a jacket before you head out. The beginning of the week looks great with sunny skies and a high of 79 Tuesday, below 51. There will be a slight drop in temperatures Wednesday with a high of 74 and a low of 54. Thursday will also be mostly sunny skies with a high of 72 until there is a chance of rain showers overnight. The chance of showers will continue throughout the rest of the week and will bring cooler temperatures on Friday, which will have a high of 66 and a low of 58. Going into the weekend, we will still have a chance of showers with slightly warmer temperature with a high of 70 on Saturday. Then, to end the week, Sunday will be mostly sunny with a high of 76. The showers that we will see later this week might be the remains of the storm that's about to hit Florida. Tropical Storm Ian has been categorized as a hurricane. The National Hurricane Center reported that life-threatening storm surges are possible for most of Florida's west coast. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis declared a state of emergency in preparation for the storm. So what does this mean for Georgia? The National Weather Service has predicted winds and heavy rainfall from Hurricane Ian is expected to hit north and central Georgia later this week. Today, Governor Brian Kemp activated the State Operations Center in response to Hurricane Ian. The center is used to respond to disasters and emergencies that require state-cooperated responses. Governor Kemp urges Georgia residents to monitor the storm as it develops throughout the week.
The National Weather Service says that it is still uncertain around the timing and tracking of the storm, so it's important to keep checking for updates. That's all today for weather. With Grady Newsource, I'm Gabrielle Vitale.
Coming up, one organization is battling food insecurity throughout the Athens area, one fruit tree at a time.
They're having some issues with DDR, obviously.
Thanks.
Stay away from the face of the person. All right, you're good now, man.
Let's see if my head gets chopped off this time.
Alright, so I say that.
Don't be the first domino. Don't fix and drive. Come on.
90 seconds.
Am I on this? You can tell me.
Okay, so Wynn's not talking at all.
Whoa, we scored? Yeah, we scored. We won the playoffs. I can't believe I missed that. Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone. What? I should take your phone away. No. I'll call for a ride. Hey, why does my face look like that?
I'm playing with these new face filters.
Okay, you know what? Yep, that's mine. But I need that back. No. Kevin!
As food insecurity issues loom across the country, one nonprofit organization in Athens is doing its part in making sure those in need receive proper nourishment. I'm joined with Grady Newsource reporter Wynn Andrews, who delves into the volunteer work that Athens Concrete Jungle is doing for residents across the country.
Athens Concrete Jungle is working with local farms to help those in need who are struggling with food insecurity as a result of produce waste. Perhaps the biggest issue with produce waste is that there is not a solution set in stone.
That's a really complex thing that I don't think we have an answer to on how you reduce it. Education would be an easy way to say that we could educate consumers on when things are ripe and when they're not. Maybe finding ways to put produce that is met that stage where it's not going to be bought at the retail shelf, that now we're pushing it to other locations or other areas that maybe could use it. But again, how do you set the logistics up to do that?
1 in 5 Athens residents experience food insecurities, with almost 30% of its citizens living below the poverty line, according to Concrete Jungle's website. To help in the battle against hunger, Concrete Jungle volunteers travel to local farms around Athens, the most recent stop being Maney Vine's Vineyard in Homer, Georgia for a muscadine pick. Volunteers handpick the produce from trees and land that might not be used otherwise, placing the items in buckets before emptying them all into crates. With volunteers being essential to Concrete Jungle's mission, a good turnout for each pick is a must.
The volunteers are the heartbeat of this organization. If they don't show up, we can't pick. And usually they do. But sometimes in our off season, that's when things can dwindle and people might forget about us. And so since we can only pick when, produce is producing, that becomes a challenge to kind of retain those people.
Concrete Jungle partners with multiple programs that receive and distribute the food, including Our Daily Bread ministry. Those in need and volunteers alike are just one example of those treated to a variety of food items each day. Many don't waste any time.
Some of them will start eating them right there, then, and I like that. The carrots, whatever they send, is always wonderful.
After the food is distributed, the process starts over once more as Concrete Jungle volunteers continue in the battle against food insecurity. For Grady Newsource, I'm Wynn Andrews.
I'm now joined by Newsource reporter Wynn Andrews. Wynn, this is such an amazing story. Athens Concrete Jungle volunteers play a pivotal role. So how can people get involved if they're interested in volunteering?
Yes, Sarah, so they can go directly to www.concrete-jungle.org if they are interested, and go ahead and just slide down to the bottom of the homepage where you will find a volunteer tab. From there, you can go ahead and just see a calendar with all the upcoming dates for the upcoming picks around the Athens area.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today, and thank you guys for tuning in. For Grady Newsource, I'm Sarah Train.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far. A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
You're home before sunrise. On top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Okay, hi guys, I'm Darby. I was ESPM today, as per usual on Mondays. A lot of the issues experienced during the show were technical. Many of our packages were not taking automatically, which is what they are programmed to do. It was just like a little technical error. That was my fault. I apologize. So that was why you saw a lot of like black screens sometimes, because commercials didn't play. We took to sports too early. But overall, I think it went really well. We were honestly like prepped and ready to start the show 10 minutes before 5, which was really impressive. So keep up that good work. And all the pre-recorded stuff was in on time. Yeah, that was pretty much it on my end. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Darby. You guys did a great job as well. You're all volunteers, and I hear myself back. And we will, yeah. And so we are honored to have today amongst us Eric Jones, and I must correct myself because I had an old bio. He is now the senior producer of Good Morning America on ABC. And just 10 years ago, imagine, he was sitting where you are, and he was learning in this very newsroom, which we will be updating soon. The dean has some funds, and you have to come back and visit us in our new digs. But we're really honored and proud to have you. He watched our show. He's got a few things, some wisdom to share. But before you share your wisdom and what you noticed on live air, why don't you tell us about yourself? Just kind of tell people how, give them a brief outline of how you reached that height that you have reached in just 10 years, and then we'll talk about the show.
Sounds good. Thank
Would you like to come in here?
Yeah,
be on camera.
Over here. Oh, and where's the camera? I never shy away from my camera. Make sure the hair is right.
First of all, it's exciting to be here. Thank you, Professor V, for having me. Thank you all for allowing me to be a fly on the wall and see kind of how you guys are putting this together. I was in your chair running around like a chicken with my head cut off if I was assigned a producer position, especially being that MMJ. Being that reporter, going out and shooting your own stuff, coming back, trying to whip up together a script in time, make it good, make it compelling, make it great, all by a deadline, because the show, as we just saw, it goes on no matter what. It's going to go on. So it's all about putting yourself in the best possible position. I love how you all went with the flow and kind of just went for it. And I think that's what you have to do with a show like this. A little bit more about myself. Yes, again, I was in your chair probably in 2011, 2012. I graduated in May 2012 with dual degrees in digital and broadcast journalism as well as political science. I was here in Grady. I was excited to be here. I knew this college was going to set me up for something. I just didn't know what that something was. Interned at the White House for the First Lady Michelle Obama in spring 2011. Incredible 6 months that I'll never forget, but it also helped me realize I do not want to be in politics. So excitingly enough, right after that, I interned at Good Morning America with the IRTS Summer Fellowship Program. And I've said that probably a couple times today, but I really want you guys to look it up if it's still a possibility before you guys wrap up, because they do take up graduating seniors as a part of that fellowship program. They pair you with an internship, and then you get to spend the summer in New York for free. So, you know, what's better than that? So I did that, worked at GMA, was in the booking department, calling on stories. So you guys are basically bookers in and of yourselves when you're working on your stories, especially if you're an MMJ, especially if you're your own reporter and you're making a call to book an interview. That's booking. That's editorial producing. That's basically letting a story subject or somebody with information or know-how help influence your story or drive your story. Very, very important part of the process. At a network level, like I'm at GMA and at ABC News, there's a whole department devoted to that. But when you're starting out and you're at this level now, the exciting thing is that you got to do it too. So you get to flex that muscle and pick up the phone and make calls and literally use every avenue at your disposal. Yes, if there's a phone number on the website, perfect. If there's an email on the website, perfect. But what happens if there's not? Well, you got to get creative. You go on the LinkedIns, you try to figure out the framework of their email and try to get it right and guess it right until you do, or until it doesn't get an undeliverable message back. You go on social media, you see who may know that person, you ask around, and you don't stop until you've pretty much exhausted all those efforts. That's really the heart of what booking and editorial producing is. I did that for 10 years at GMA before I started wanting a new challenge, and I accepted a new role as of last summer as a senior producer specializing in race and culture. So AKA the very, very tough stories that we cover that are so nuanced, that deal with topics, you know, like race and culture. The unarmed shooting of a black man in TBD named the city, and the police body cam just came out. How do we cover it? How do we approach it? How do we make it digestible for GMA viewers early in the morning when they're getting their kids ready with cereal and with breakfast, and we're seeing graphic footage that the world needs to know about. So I specialize in that, but I could also at the same time cover Rihanna is the headliner for the Super Bowl. How do we make that fun, and how do we make that dynamic for our GMA viewers? So it really, really runs the gamut. You kind of have to be able to do it all as the GMA producer, and I feel like I've gotten better at it. I've started writing more. Please sharpen your writing if you haven't already. Just continually always try to get that better. You'll never become too great at writing. You're always going to need it. And I, for one, paid attention when I was in Grady, but I'm like, I wish I would have even done more writing, because you're going to use it no matter what platform you're going to be on. And it really is what's going to set you apart as a journalist from other people.
Thank you for saying that, because that is my number one priority. I sit here, they get really upset at me, but because I turn their pyramids upside down, and I strive. I pick my battles, of course, but I really, to me also, and thank you for making that point. There's no technology changes, things change. You can always learn it, but good writing, basic skills, being creative with your writing, objective and interesting. And succinct, that
I couldn't say it more because honestly, to make it even easier, we work in a visual video based, mode now. So basically, when you see a nice piece of video, if you're covering whatever, think about what you have. Think about literally the footage that you went and shot, or the piece of video that we're able to fair use or take from an affiliate, or that's in the system already, or that's stock footage or file footage. Write to it. Literally tell us or tell the viewer in your script what they are seeing. Watch here as the burglar, the suspect, gets away. That's kind of writing. It's very impactful, and it makes the viewer turn up and look up at the screen and see what you're doing. So yeah, that's my spiel as far as the GMA goes. I've been doing this new role for going on 2 years, and it's been rewarding, but writing has definitely gotten stronger over this past year and a half. I've learned to be adaptable and being flexible to any situation that comes my way. And I feel like that's what you have to do, and that's what you guys have been doing. You get thrown a different task, I think, every week, right?
Yeah.
So it's good to have that. You definitely are going to take this for your first job and your next jobs in terms of, knowing the language, knowing how a newsroom operates, not being able to, or not having somebody have to sit and explain to you what B-roll is or what a package is or, something like that. You already know what it is, but it's really boils down to getting the hands-on experience and to live it and to feel it and to do it as you guys are doing every day and every week. So, yeah. I thought the show was good. I thought the show was good. I guess I'll go into my spiel of the show. Very good on your feet. There were a couple times where the packages, I guess the commercials weren't going and they came to you a little quicker than you may have thought, but you were right there and ready. That's really, really strong what you did there. I loved your intonation and your inflections. You know what words to emphasize and how to put certain priority on certain words. That really helps the viewers guide us along. I guess what I would say in terms of the pieces were really good. I love whenever you guys are covering it, just start with what you feel like is gonna hook the viewer. There were a couple times where there was, I think, music in the story, and I was like, man, that would be a good starting nat. Whenever you're covering stories with some action or an event, I think it's always good to start with a nat pop, like meaning you hear.
You mean you shouldn't start with a building and a sign?
Not always. Not always. There's plenty of time for the building and the signage. But whenever you're covering like an event with music or an event with like chanting or a rally, it's always good to start. You'll see GMA do it, or big shows or
Thank you for saying that as well.
Yeah, start with a big like fight the power or whatever they say at the rally, and then start your track, right after you hear what's going on. And then again, right to that. You always want your headline to be kind of like that first, that big thing. There was an example. Oh, for instance, I love the story. Wait, where? Remind me your name. With the senior citizens and the aerobics or.
Danae.
Danae. I really, really like that story. I thought your stand-up was interactive. I probably, when you're thinking about that, like, hook 'em. I love the way you did it. Maybe another way could have been at the top just to basically be like, a new class bringing vibrancy to the Athens senior citizens community, basically kind of summing it up in that one. That's just an example, but just summing it up in like that first line. So that way people kind of know the essence of what they're getting into. But I really, really love the stand up, and I thought your voices in it were great and they were used in a good way. I really loved with the, let's see. The community bites. I love the part where, when you mentioned door prizes, we heard the person say door prizes. So stuff like that matters too. Kind of leading your viewer through the sound bites and not making them seem random. Also with the sound bites, they don't always have to be super long. If somebody gets the essence of it, feel free to get out of that bite. Honestly, I always kind of felt like, we have somebody on camera, we have to use X amount of time for it. If they nip it in a bud with the essence of what they need to say in that bite, then you can use that time elsewhere. You can like fatten up your tag if it has more information in it, or use a little bit more track. But I think there was an example of the Sojo piece where it was basically the organizer was like, if it was not for volunteers, we wouldn't be here. It was something like that, and I was like, full stop. That was good there. And she kind of went on a little bit, and I was thinking, maybe we could have got out of that a little bit more. Also, to think about just overall for what you're covering. Also think about your viewers and what's going to impact them the most. I did ask Professor V if maybe weather was an option, to lead the show with, because people care about that. Even though it's not going to hit Georgia today, tomorrow, even Wednesday, we knew as of this morning and today that we should be bracing for some kind of impact later this week. And we know so many people that live in Florida, they're going to feel it even sooner than we are. So sometimes that weather is always going to be a good crutch to rely on if, let's say, you don't have an obvious breaking news lead that happened on campus today. You can obviously, everybody's going to care about weather no matter where you are. It's in our region. That's always going to be a good thing to rely on. I'm blanking on a lot of other stuff, but I thought that even with the technical difficulties, you guys rolled with the punches. You guys did a great job. Just keep being confident in your delivery for some of your reporters as well. Be confident in what you're saying. You're the authority. When you have the mic or when you're doing that stand-up, walk through it. Make it dynamic. Don't be afraid like, oh, I look silly. Sometimes the more awkward you look is the better of the stand-up because you're actually doing some action. You're showing us something. You're walking. You're talking. You're illustrating through your movements what we need to see to help keep us engaged for the piece. I think those are my random. These are random. I took some notes, but those are random. I like to come off the dome for a lot of it. That was it.
That was excellent. All the points you made to say something, show something. Your first shot, your first sentence. It's got to grab the viewer. Yes, thank you, Eric, for saying all of that. So, guys, questions. Take advantage. We've got him here. He came personally to be with us. Questions. Take the mic. Yeah.
Hey, good to talk to you again. So what was something that you've learned, I guess, from Newsource that has helped translate to your professional career now at Good Morning America?
I would say to juggle. I mean, I know how to. I don't get too freaked out, anymore as I get older, about accomplishing multiple tasks. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, there are times where I have more than one story. As a senior producer, I have multiple stories that I need to quote unquote be an expert of and oversee and approve and go through the script, make sure we have the right elements. And, I just have to kind of remind myself, okay, I'm capable of this. It wouldn't be too much put on me if I wasn't able to bear it. So I think that you guys are in a great position. You guys are going to be, by the end of this, you're going to be so sharpened that it's going to be like second nature. Yes, you'll go through the stress of the time sensitive nature of it. And, we're a minute out and, the show's over. You're going to go through those normal news stresses. Those never go away. We do that even at our level. Right. When we're turning something in and we're making deadline and we're trying to get an interview done and things of that sort. But I feel like I know how to juggle now. I know how to go through it. There's nothing, even with unpredictable stories and unpredictable things, I kind of feel like I've seen it, and I've done it. And it's kind of like a muscle. You keep flexing it and you keep doing it. You'll get more and more comfortable with it. So I would say that. And then again, the knowing how to write, the knowing how to write to time. That is one thing I still struggle with in terms of making sure my story or my piece that I'm working on is at the minute 15 or minute 30. When I see a minute 30, I'm jumping for joy because sometimes at GMA we have to do a piece for a minute 15. I'm like, how am I going to do a minute 15 as a package? And use gnats and do all of this stuff, and somehow we make it work. So, yeah.
So what would you say the ideal length for a package for broadcast is nowadays?
It depends. We have to nowadays, and maybe you guys start thinking about this when you're building out a show. We're our most successful when we're doing stories boom, boom, boom. Like especially at the top, that first block, you're moving on quickly. Mm-hmm. You don't want to see a 2.5 minute, 3 minute piece at the top of the show unless it's like an exclusive with President Zelensky, and it's the first time we're hearing from him since Russia's taken the votes on the fake electors or the fake governments in those sections. So it depends on what it is. If it's a big exclusive like that, the Oscars slap, and we're hearing from Will Packer who produced it, that can be a meaty piece at the top. But when it's a regular news day and it's news of day, you're at your best, I think, when you're moving on quickly. When you're hitting the beats and you're hitting multiple beats, that allows you to bring in more stories. When you're doing quicker stories, that allows you to put in more stories. So maybe one's a package, but then you maybe hit a couple live reporters out of that and then go to another piece. Maybe your ender's a piece for that block. It doesn't always have to be, the tried and true like package, and then we're on the pace. You could kind of mix it up and add in different layers and add in different news. For example, like if you did weather at the top, that's the top of the show. That's quote unquote live, even if it's pre-recorded. That's quote unquote live, and then you go to the news of day right after that and kind of roll from then on and then therefore. But I think it varies based on the.
We have a special guest. We have even the dean.
Hey y'all. I'm taking this guy to dinner.
And I'm excited about that.
So that's my job today.
So where are you taking him out to dinner?
ZZ and Simone's. 5 Points. Have y'all been? Any of y'all been?
So I would say that.
So would you like to take a
How's
seat?
everything going?
Very well. We are really inspired, and it's been wonderful. We got to hear about Eric's journey in just 10 years to senior producer, and he's been giving some great advice. He's just taking questions now. He critiqued the show and made some points that I'm really happy that he made them.
Yeah, it's always better
And
when they
I
make
did
them.
not, yes, we did not conspire. I
Yeah,
did not
I
tell
promise,
him
I
what to
promise.
say,
I was
but
just taking
he
notes.
hit all my pet peeve
Whenever I had
points.
pros in my classroom, I'd always write down, say these 3 things.
I should learn from
Because I've been
you.
saying it, they don't pay attention to me.
No.
So do most of, I guess by either show of hands or nodding or some kind of acknowledgement, how many of you guys want to be, eventually on air, in the traditional sense that we say? Okay. Okay. Love it. Yeah, I definitely encourage you to utilize Newsource and get as much done. Don't base it all on what you can only do in this short amount of time. Go out and shoot your own stuff as well. See if you can, conspire with Professor B and say, hey, can I get permission to have a camera equipment and rent it out for a Friday? I used to get in here and do my own self-tapes on Fridays. Certain Fridays, I would work with, at the time, Professor Castangera, Professor Shumway, get some equipment, come down here, record myself, or I would just have somebody come in and make sure the booth is manned and that it's ready to go, and I would go down there and record myself and come out when I was done, and I would have that extra footage in addition to what I got at Newsource that I was able to use for my reels and things like that. And then it kind of made me better too because I got more confident. Like you won't be as nervous or anxious if you continually do it. It'll start becoming second nature when you're looking into that camera, delivering lines or what have you. And then also, like I said, when I was talking about writing and just writing to what you see, even when it comes to weather or sports, if there's some illustration behind you, just tell us what you see. Right there's the eye. I don't know much about hurricanes, but I know what the eye of the storm is, and it'll be good to kind of like draw viewers to that as well. That's something that you could use to your benefit visually, because again, we're in a visual medium, so anything you can do to kind of point to what people are seeing, it makes them stop what they're doing and look up and focus on what you're saying as well. In addition,
Any more questions, guys?
all right. Well, thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate it, and keep after it. I'll give my email to Professor V if you guys have any questions or want any advice that an old geezer like myself could give you, then I'll be happy to.
What about me? Yeah.
All right, thanks, guys.
Well, one more question from me. What would you say is the secret of your success? Just a simple question.
Speaking just for Eric, speaking for myself, I honestly, when I was coming up, I didn't take anything for granted, whether it was an opportunity, a task, a challenge. I always just grabbed it and just went for it. Even if I was nervous, even if I was scared, if I didn't know how to do something, I asked around until I figured out how to do it. I never saw anything as given to me. I just worked my butt off continuously. And even when I interned at GMA, I didn't care if they told me to go take a rundown to set or go get Robin's coffee. No matter what they did, I acted like it was the biggest task for the show because it ultimately helps support the show. Who knows, what if Robin's coffee that morning made her a different person with like, ooh, I needed the jolt of coffee, I feel better, let's go for this interview, I'm gonna kill it today. You know, you never know what could impact the larger operation of the show. And I just remember doing stuff like that, and then the next thing you know, as an intern, before I was even hired, being able to escort David Beckham to set, to brief Viola Davis and Bryce Dallas Howard, who were there for The Help. That shows you how old I am. The Help was coming out when I was an intern. But yeah, so exciting things like that, I was able to kind of put my thumbprint on, and they trusted me with more and more as I accomplished that. So I say whatever you need to do to get better, to be better, do it, because you're going to be better at the end for it. And
attitude. That's the most important thing for me too. I got a lot of coffee for people. There was never a job or something that was too small for me. I always let me fill in. That's how I learned, started Bulgarian radio with internship and coffee. And if somebody couldn't go and take an interview, please teach me how to use the recorder. I will go and get it. And I learned that way. And there was never, that's exactly attitude. Attitude will get you everywhere. It'll get you the interview. It'll get you promoted. It'll get people to trust you. You got all my points there, and I hope they listen to you, because, that attitude will, to me, that has helped me the most. I think if you asked me, Eric, what was the secret of my success, I think that can do, and I want to learn it, and that passion in the belly. You've got to have that, because it's a very stressful job. But
it is. It's not for the faint, honestly. You're going to grind. You're going to have sleepless nights. You're going to be like, man, but if you care about storytelling, if you care about impacting people, we do a job that's very essential. There's always going to be a need for journalists. There's always going to be a need for producers, for storytellers to digest, to synthesize this news in a format that people are going to be able to digest and go on about their lives, because nobody else is going to want to sit down and do it, but we have a passion for doing this for them. So people are going to need that service always, no matter what form it's in, whether it's traditional, linear, TV, digital, print, whatever. No matter how people get their news, they're going to need somebody to boil it down and tell them what's important and what the headlines are and why they should care.
Excellent points.
Thanks, guys.
Eric, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dean Davis, would you like to give me,
Davis is like,
what is the secret of your success?
No. What success? Depends on the hour, really. But I want to second what you said about attitudes a lot. But the other thing that I think Georgia Grady students really bring to the table, and I hear it time and time again when I go on internship supervisor visits, and we go to broadcast stations, we sit down with people, you guys are ready. When you come out of here, you're ready. And you're humble. And that's, I don't know what that is. Whether that's just Georgia, I don't know. Something about this place, it is special. And I do think there's a humility in you guys that I get back from supervisors all the time. They're willing to learn. They're willing to ask questions. They come early. They stay late. Sometimes they say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, and yes, sir, and no, sir. And they're astonished by that, because they don't get that from other institutions. So I think
we
that
get
is
the
very
brightest
special.
students. We do, don't we? The brightest.
Oh, God, yeah. They're incredibly bright, but they're humble, which is a nice mixture.
Yeah.
Keep that, y'all. It'll help you a lot. It really will.
Thank you so much.
So, I'm going to go feed this guy.
I'm excited.
Me too.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Bye,
you
guys.
so much. Good
See y'all
luck,
later.
Eric. And
We're locked in. We have to go the other way.
please
don't
send me your
Yes,
email.
I will.
I'd love to
we?
stay in
We have
touch
to go out that
with
way,
you.
don't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah, this
I'll
one
do this
is
way.
locked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wrong way.
Okay.
It's not awkward at all.
Yeah. I am so proud of you guys, and I second everything Eric said. Sarah, I know how nervous you were. The only thing I would say is that you could have looked at Wynn and sort of, there should have been, the only thing I would have said is to not to be so locked at the teleprompter. I know that you didn't have enough time to prepare because everything was last minute, but take a look at it, and what I would have changed just a little bit is for you to have at least looked at him, acknowledged him, and told us why he's sitting next to you. Just kind of say, when we'll talk to you after we see your story, or something like that. Boom, story plays, and then you again reintroduced him, saying, I'm joined now by when you already told us that. But I'm nitpicking. You were extraordinary. You really were. You look great on camera. You're very confident. You very pleasant performance. It's just like people want to watch you. People trust you. You had a comfort in front of the camera, no matter, and that's professionalism. No matter how nervous, and I know how nervous you were, you did not show it. Not one time did you show that. And so I'm really proud of all of you. Doné, your stand-up was really wonderful, and the whole package. Yeah, and everybody did great work today. And just to encourage, Gabby encouraged you to ad-lib a little bit more, because I could tell you were reading. You promised me you would. And see what Eric said, try things out and learn how to ad-lib and apply yourself, and look, when you look and point. So I don't need to say all my pet peeves, which Eric so eloquently, but to hear it from him, I guess it lends credibility to what my broken record things. So I know you guys are tired. I just want to thank you, tell you how proud I am of you. Love you guys. Let's do it again on Wednesday. And anybody wants to say anything before we leave? I've got a mic. Anybody wants to say anything? All right. Okay. Riley, thank you. Riley's writing is just amazing when she has fun with stuff. Yeah, and you had fun with. Yeah, so writing, you heard Eric, say something, show something, first sentence, writing, learn how to write succinctly, short sound bites, and this is only your 4th show, so you're amazing. This is just the 4th show, so we keep working hard, and just, I want you to know how happy I am and how proud of you I am, and lucky to have all of you. Y'all. Yeah. All right, guys. So go get some rest, and let's do it again on Wednesday.